and still she remained alone, the mysterious calabash. One morning while collecting wheat, long ago, in a quiet village nestled between rolling green hills and golden fields of millet, there lived a kind and hard-working woman named Mama Nia. She was loved by all for her generosity. She shared her food with the hungry, her wisdom with the young, and her laughter with the lonely. But despite all the joy she brought to others, her heart carried a deep sorrow. She had no children of her own. Every evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Mama Nia walked to the great baobab tree at the edge of the village, where she whispered her hopes to the moon. "O great spirits of the land, bless me with a child to call my own. I long for a child to love, to teach, to sing to, and to hold close in the night." But the seasons passed, and still she remained alone. The mysterious calabash. One morning, while collecting water for the river, Mama Nia noticed something unusual floating among the reeds. It was a large, golden calabash, more beautiful than any she had ever seen. The gourd shimmered under the morning sun, and as she reached for it, she felt a strange warmth spread through her hands, as if the calabash held a secret within. With a heart full of curiosity, she carried it home, humming a gentle tune as she walked. She placed it carefully on her wooden table, admiring its smooth surface. "Perhaps the spirits have blessed me with good fortune today," she murmured. That evening, as she prepared to cut the calabash open to use it for cooking, she heard a small voice cry out, "Mama, don't hurt me!" Startled, Mama Nia stepped back, her heart pounding. Again the voice came, this time softer, almost pleading. "Please, Mama, let us out." The calabash trembled and cracked on its own. Mama Nia gasped as the gourd split open, revealing a dazzling light. From within, 7 bright-eyed children stepped out, each one as beautiful as the morning sun. The 7 calabash children. Mama Nia could hardly believe her eyes. These were not ordinary children. Each of them carried an otherworldly glow, their skin smooth like river stones, their eyes filled with joy and wisdom beyond their years. One by one, they introduced themselves, each with a special gift. Kato, the eldest, could make plants grow with a single touch. Zuri had a voice so sweet that birds stopped to listen. Tano was stronger than any warrior in the village. Mwezi could see far beyond the hills, even in darkness. Shani could heal with her gentle hands. Jabari ran faster than the wind. And Nia, the youngest, was wise beyond her years. Tears streamed down Mama Nia's face as she embraced them. "The spirits have heard my prayers," she cried. She dressed them in the finest cloth she could weave, fed them warm meals, and taught them the ways of the village. Whispers of doubt. At first, the village welcomed the children with wonder. They marveled at Kato's ability to make their crops flourish, at Zuri's enchanting songs, and at Shani's healing touch. But soon, whispers of doubt crept through the village like a shadow. "Children from a calabash," some elders muttered. "They are not like us. Perhaps they are spirits. Perhaps they will bring misfortune." One woman, Mama Kalichi, was the most suspicious of all. She went to the village chief and whispered in his ear, "Can you truly trust these children? If they are spirits, they may bring harm to us all." The chief, though a wise man, was troubled by the rumors. He called for a great gathering and spoke to Mama Nia. "Your children have done great things, but the people are afraid. If they truly belong here, let them prove their worth." Mama Nia's heart clenched. She feared for her children, but the calabash children only smiled. "We will show them who we are," Nia, the youngest, said confidently. The trial of gifts. The next morning, the village gathered in the open clearing to witness the trial. The chief stood before the crowd and declared, "Each child must prove their gift before the village. If they succeed, they will be accepted as one of us. If they fail—" He did not finish the sentence. Kato stepped forward first. With a single touch to the dry earth, he made lush green crops rise from the ground. The people gasped in amazement. Zuri began to sing, and her voice was so beautiful that even the birds perched on the rooftops to listen. Tano lifted a fallen tree with ease, his strength unmatched. Mwezi pointed toward the distant hills and described what no one else could see. A herd of antelope approaching, just as he predicted. Shani placed her hands on an old woman's aching knee, and within moments, the pain was gone. Jabari dashed across the village so quickly that he returned before a single grain of sand had settled. Finally, Nia stepped forward and spoke, her voice calm and wise. We were given to our mother by the spirits because of her kindness. We bring nothing but love and blessings. Judge us not by where we came from, but by the good we bring. A hush fell over the village. The chief nodded slowly. These children are a gift, not a curse, he declared. A family forever. From that day on, Mama Nia and her calabash children were loved and cherished. The villagers no longer saw them as spirits or strangers, but as family. They helped the village grow and prosper, bringing light wherever there was darkness. And whenever the full moon rose high in the sky, the elders whispered among themselves that the spirits of the land had smiled upon Mama Nia, filling her home with love, laughter, and the sweetest of blessings. Long after the village had come to embrace the calabash children, a new stirring of destiny began to call. The wise old baobab tree, under whose shade Mama Nia had once whispered her heart's deepest wishes, now rustled with secrets of lands far beyond the familiar hills. A mysterious message. One crisp morning, as the golden sun spilled over the horizon, Mwezi, the child with eyes that saw beyond the ordinary, sat beneath the baobab. In the soft rustle of leaves, he heard a whisper not carried by the wind, but by the ancient spirit of the land. The voice urged him to venture forth and discover a hidden truth about their origins and the gifts they carried. When Mwezi shared the message with his siblings, Kato, Zuri, Tano, Shani, Jabari, and little Nia, their eyes sparkled with both wonder and a hint of trepidation. They knew that their lives, blessed by the mysterious calabash, were meant for something even greater than tending to their beloved village, the call to adventure. After a long discussion with Mama Nia, who had always been their guiding light, the children and their mother agreed that the journey was both a duty and an opportunity. With blessings from the village chief and well wishes from their friends, the calabash children set out on a path that wound through dense forests, across sparkling streams and over rugged mountains. Each step of the journey revealed new marvels. Kato's touch transformed barren lands into blossoming meadows, showing them that nature held surprises in every corner. Zuri's enchanting voice summoned birds, animals, and even the quiet wind to accompany their path, as if the world itself celebrated their quest. Tano's strength cleared obstacles, moving fallen logs and rockslides that threatened to block their way. Mwezi guided them through treacherous terrain, his vision revealing safe passages even in the darkest, most mysterious parts of the forest. Shani healed wounds and eased their fatigue, offering gentle care when the road became too hard. Jabari's swift feet led them ahead, ensuring they reached each new wonder before dusk. And young Nia, with wisdom beyond her years, kept their hearts aligned with the purpose of their journey, the land of whispering waters. Their path eventually brought them to a land where the rivers sang and the waterfalls whispered ancient secrets. Here, the spirit of the water appeared in a shimmering cascade. It spoke of a forgotten legacy, a time when magic flowed freely and every living being shared in the blessings of nature. The spirit explained that the calabash children were a part of this legacy, destined to help restore balance in a world that was slowly losing touch with its roots. The water spirit bestowed upon them a new gift, the ability to understand the language of nature itself. With this gift, the children learned that every rustling leaf, every bubbling brook, carried wisdom from the past and clues for the future. The path home. Armed with these revelations, the calabash children vowed to return to their village not just as bearers of magic, but as stewards of the ancient legacy. Their journey had taught them that the true power of their gifts lay in nurturing life and rekindling hope in every corner of the land. When they finally returned home, the village was transformed. The fields were greener, the rivers flowed clearer, and a renewed sense of wonder filled every heart. Mama Nia, proud and tearful, embraced her children, knowing that their destiny was now intertwined with the fate of the whole world. In the years that followed, the calabash children became celebrated as the guardians of nature, a bridge between the old ways and the new, reminding everyone that magic and love can heal even the deepest wounds. The Calabash chronicles the curse of the shadow forest. A new threat. One evening, as the village prepared for the harvest festival, a cold wind swept through the fields. The elders, who had seen many seasons come and go, grew uneasy. Birds stopped singing, and the animals that usually roamed freely hid deep within the forest. Mwezi, with his gift of far sight, climbed the tallest tree to see what lay beyond the hills. His sharp eyes widened in shock. A dark mist was creeping toward the village from the shadow forest, a place whispered about in fearful tales. No one dared enter it, for it was said to be cursed. An ancient spirit had been angered long ago, and now the forest grew wild, swallowing all who wandered too close. "The forest is expanding," Mwezi warned. "If we do nothing, it will reach the village." The chief called for an urgent gathering. The shadow forest has slept for many years. If it awakens, it could mean disaster. Mama Nia placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "My children will go. Their gifts are not just for the village, but for the land itself." The chief hesitated but nodded. "Go with courage, children of the calabash." Into the shadow forest. Armed with faith and determination, the 7 siblings set off. As they crossed the boundary into the shadow forest, the air grew thick, the trees twisted unnaturally, and the ground beneath them felt cold and lifeless. Zuri hummed a song of protection, her voice cutting through the eerie silence. The trees seemed to tremble at her melody, but the darkness remained. Jabari scouted ahead, but the deeper he ran, the more lost he became. "This forest is trying to confuse us," he panted when he returned. "No path stays the same." Kato knelt down and touched the soil, trying to make life bloom, but the earth rejected his magic. "This land is cursed," he whispered. Tano clenched his fists. "Then we must break the curse." The guardian of shadows. As they ventured further, they reached a clearing where an ancient tree stood, its bark as black as night. From its roots, dark mist slithered like snakes, spreading through the land. A deep, rumbling voice echoed around them. "Why do you disturb my slumber?" The mist swirled, forming the shape of a shadowy figure, the guardian of the shadow forest. "You are poisoning the land," Nia said boldly. "Why do you bring darkness to our village?" The guardian's eyes glowed dimly. "I was once the protector of this forest, but the greed of men angered me. They cut my trees, hunted my creatures, and burned my home. So I took back what was mine. Now all who enter are lost forever." Mwezi stepped forward. "Not all humans are your enemy. Our mother, Mama Nia, taught us to respect the land. Let us help you restore balance instead of spreading fear." The guardian hesitated. The shadows around it flickered like a dying flame. The gift of healing. Shani stepped closer and placed her hands on the guardian's ancient tree. A golden glow spread from her fingers, seeping into the roots. The mist wavered. The air grew lighter. Kato joined her, pressing his palm to the soil. Slowly, green shoots sprouted from the ground. The guardian let out a deep sigh. "It has been so long since kindness touched this place." The darkness faded, and the twisted trees straightened. The vines that had strangled the land released their grip, allowing new life to emerge. Birds returned, singing once more. The guardian's shadowy form softened, revealing an old, weary spirit, no longer a vengeful force, but a being ready to heal. "I have tested you, and you have shown me that hope still exists," the guardian said. "The forest will no longer threaten your people." With those final words, the guardian merged with the great tree, disappearing into the heart of the forest. A new beginning. As the calabash children left the shadow forest, they looked back one last time. No longer did it loom in darkness. It was alive again, its leaves glowing with a newfound vibrancy. When they returned to the village, the people rejoiced. They had not just saved their home, but restored a lost part of the land's spirit. From that day on, the villagers no longer feared the shadow forest. Instead, they learned to care for it, planting new trees and protecting the creatures that lived within. And as for the calabash children, they knew that their journey was far from over. Many more lands needed healing, and the spirits of the earth still whispered their names. The adventure had only just begun. The Calabash Chronicles, the Rift of Betrayal, the Seeds of Division. The village of Mama Nia's children had flourished since their return from the Shadow Forest. The people lived in harmony with the land, the crops grew abundantly, and the rivers ran clearer than ever. Yet, as with all good things, trouble found its way into their peace. One evening, as the Calabash children sat beneath the baobab tree, a traveler arrived, a mysterious woman dressed in flowing robes, her skin the color of the night sky. She introduced herself as Mama Ganda, a wise seer who claimed to have knowledge of their true origins. "You are powerful," she said, her voice smooth as honey, "but you are not invincible. A time will come when your unity will break and you will be powerless." The siblings glanced at one another, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. They had always believed their greatest strength was their bond. "You must each prove who is the strongest," Mama Ganda continued. "Only one can lead. Only one deserves to hold the greatest power. If you are wise, you will test yourselves now, before the world forces you to do so." With those words, she left, disappearing into the night like a whisper in the wind. A dangerous thought. At first, the children laughed off her words. They had always worked together. Why would they ever compete? But as the days passed, the seed of doubt had been planted. Tano, the strongest, wondered if he was the true protector of the group. Mwezi, with his ability to see beyond, questioned if he should be the one to guide their path. Zuri, with her voice that charmed all who heard it, thought of how she could lead through influence. Kato, who made the land flourish, believed he was the foundation of their survival. Jabari, swift as the wind, grew restless, feeling underestimated. Shani, the healer, worried that without her, the others would crumble. And young Nia, wise beyond her years, sensed the shift among them but feared what would happen if she spoke. Slowly, without realizing it, they began to argue. Small disagreements turned into bitter debates. Their laughter faded, and where once they had moved as one, now they walked separate paths. The breaking point. One night, the village chief gathered them. "You must end this division," he said. "But if you must prove yourselves, then let it be through a challenge. Not against each other, but against the land itself." He pointed to the Canyon of Echoes, a vast and treacherous gorge where the winds howled like voices from the past. "Cross it, but do so without using your gifts on your own. Only together can you succeed." Determined to prove their worth, the siblings set off. At first they tried to go alone. Jabari ran ahead, but found the winds too strong to outrun. Mwezi tried to see a clear path, but realized the mist obscured even his vision. Tano attempted to leap across, but fell short, clinging to the edge. Kato called upon the land, but the earth was barren and would not bloom for him. Zuri's voice could not calm the restless winds. Shani tried to heal their fatigue, but their wounds were deeper than flesh. Even Nia's wisdom seemed powerless against their growing stubbornness. Exhausted and defeated, they sat at the canyon's edge, watching the stars shimmer above them. The lesson of unity. It was Nia who finally spoke. "We have lost our way," she whispered. "Mama Ganda's words have poisoned our hearts. She made us believe we must prove ourselves alone, but our strength has never been in one. It has always been in all." Slowly the others nodded. They stood once more, but this time together. Mwezi guided them where the mist was thinnest. Jabari ran ahead to scout for loose rocks. Tano carried those too weary to walk. Kato made vines grow where there were none, creating footholds across the canyon. Zuri sang to steady their hearts, calming the raging winds. Shani healed their wounds, her touch filling them with renewed strength. And Nia, with her wisdom, led them forward, ensuring no one was left behind. Step by step, hand in hand, they crossed the canyon. As they reached the other side, the mist cleared, revealing Mama Ganda standing before them. But she was no longer the mysterious traveler. Her form shimmered and shifted, revealing an ancient spirit of trial and wisdom. "You have passed the test," she said, her voice now filled with warmth. "Even the strongest can. Fall to doubt, but the wise will remember their true strength. It was never about who is greatest, but about knowing you are nothing without each other." With that she vanished, leaving only a gentle breeze in her place. Stronger than before, the calabash children returned home, not as rivals, but as family once more. They had learned that doubt could creep into even the strongest hearts, but trust and unity would always guide them back to their true path. And from that day on, no matter what challenges lay ahead, they vowed never to forget the lesson of the Canyon of Echoes. That alone, they were powerful, but together, they were unstoppable. The Calabash Chronicles, The Return of the Forgotten King, a prophecy unveiled. One evening, as the village gathered around the fire for storytelling, an unexpected visitor arrived. He was an elder draped in robes woven with starlight, his face marked with the wisdom of countless years. "I am Elder Omari, guardian of the ancient prophecies," he announced. "I have come to warn you. A shadow is rising, and only the children of the Calabash can stop it." The villagers murmured in fear, but the siblings stood tall. "What danger do we face?" asked Mwezi. "The return of King Balogan, the forgotten king," Elder Omari said gravely. "Long ago, he was a great ruler, blessed with power beyond measure. But his greed consumed him. He sought to control all magic, believing that only he was worthy of it. When the ancestors saw his heart had turned dark, they sealed him away in the chamber of stone, deep within the earth." Shani shivered. "If he was sealed away, how can he return?" "The seal weakens with time," Omari replied. "Already his whispers travel through the wind, seeking a way back into this world. If he escapes, he will drain the land of its magic, leaving it barren and lifeless. Only those born of the sacred calabash have the strength to stop him." The siblings exchanged determined glances. They had faced many trials before, but this was different. This was a battle against an enemy of the past, one who had once held immense power. The journey to the Chamber of Stone. Guided by Elder Omari, the children set off on their most dangerous quest yet. Their path took them through treacherous lands, across the desert of echoes, where the wind carried the voices of lost souls. Through the forest of vanishing, where trees shifted like ghosts, confusing those who walked among them. Over the ravine of shadows, where creatures of darkness slithered beneath the ground. Each trial tested their courage, but together they pressed on. Finally, they reached the Chamber of Stone, a massive underground cavern where an ancient door, carved with forgotten symbols, stood sealed shut. But as they approached, the ground trembled. A deep voice echoed through the chamber. "You are too late." The stone door cracked. A powerful force burst forth, knocking them back as a towering figure emerged. King Balogan had returned. The battle for magic. Balogan's form was wreathed in darkness, his eyes glowing like embers. With a single wave of his hand, the air grew heavy, the ground withered, and the very essence of life seemed to drain from the land. "You dare challenge me?" he sneered. "Children playing with gifts they do not deserve?" Kato stepped forward, calling upon the earth, but the ground refused to obey him. Zuri sang, but her voice faltered in the choking darkness. Jabari tried to outrun Balogan's power, but even the wind seemed frozen in fear. One by one, their gifts failed them. Balogan laughed. I told you, only I am worthy of magic. You are nothing without it. For the first time, the siblings felt true doubt. Had they come all this way only to fail? The power of the calabash. Then young Nia stepped forward. You are wrong, she said, her voice steady. Our gifts do not make us strong, our hearts do. Balogan's smile faded. We are not just children of magic, Nia continued. We are children of love, of unity, of the ancestors' will. And that is a power you will never control. She turned to her siblings. We don't need magic to fight. We need each other. Realizing the truth in her words, the siblings linked hands. They stood as one, their spirits merging into a force greater than magic itself, a force of pure life, love, and destiny. The cavern trembled. The air shimmered. From within them, the true power of the calabash awoke, not just as individual gifts, but as a force that bound them together. A brilliant golden light erupted from their joined hands, clashing against Balogan's darkness. He screamed, his power crumbling beneath the strength of their unity. No, this cannot be, he roared, before the light consumed him. With a final cry, he vanished into dust, sealed away once more. This time, forever. A new dawn. As the light faded, the chamber of stone began to heal. Life returned to the land, and the whispers of the past were silenced. Elder Omari smiled. You have proven that true power does not come from magic, but from the bond you share. You are more than the children of the calabash. You are the protectors of balance. When the siblings returned home, the village erupted in celebration. They had saved not just their people, but the world itself. And though they knew that more challenges lay ahead, they also knew this. As long as they stood together, no darkness could ever defeat them. The Calabash Chronicles, the heart of the magic, the secret of the calabash. It had been many seasons since the Calabash children had defended their village from King Balogan and restored balance to the land. Yet, despite all they had achieved, a lingering question haunted them. Where did their magic truly come from? Mama Nia, though wise and loving, had never been able to answer. All she knew was that the calabash had appeared to her when she was most in need, and since then, the gifts of the land had passed down to her children. But the origins of the calabash remained a mystery. One evening, as the village prepared for a great festival to honor the harvest, a mysterious elder arrived. A woman whose skin seemed to glow with the essence of the earth itself. Her eyes sparkled with ancient knowledge. I am Amina, keeper of the heart of magic, she said, her voice soft but powerful. You seek the truth of the calabash, don't you? The children nodded, eager for answers. Follow me, Amina said, and I will show you where your magic truly began. The journey to the heart. Amina led them to the cavern of echoes, a hidden place deep within the mountains. The journey was long and treacherous, fraught with danger, whirling winds, crumbling cliffs, and dark caves that seemed to stretch endlessly. But despite the dangers, the siblings remained undaunted, knowing this was a path they had to walk together. Finally, after days of travel, they arrived at the entrance to the cavern. The air inside was thick with ancient energy, and the walls of the cave pulsed with a faint, golden light. Amina spoke softly. This is the place where the magic was born. Here, the heart of magic rests, a force that connects all life and all beings. They ventured deeper until they reached a vast chamber at the heart of the mountain. There, in the center, was a massive stone altar. Upon it lay a single glowing calabash, surrounded by swirling lights and energies. This is the true calabash, Amina explained. The first calabash created by the ancestors of the earth, to carry the essence of magic and life. It was made to pass through the generations, nurturing those pure of heart with the gifts of the land. The revelation. The children stood in awe, realizing the significance of the calabash they had carried all their lives. But there was more. Amina continued. You are not merely children of the calabash. You are the chosen ones, descendants of an ancient line, guardians of the earth's magic. The calabash did not choose you by chance. You were born to protect the balance between magic and nature. Zuri's voice trembled as she asked, But why us? Why are we the ones chosen? Amina's gaze softened. The calabash chooses those with hearts as pure as the land itself. Your gifts come from the earth, and they have been awakened by your love for each other and for all life. You are the stewards of this magic. The children felt a deep sense of pride and awe. They had always known they were special, but to hear that their magic was tied to the very earth itself made them realize the weight of their responsibility. The awakening of the heart. Amina then led them to the altar and whispered, To understand your magic fully, you must awaken the heart of magic. Only then will you understand the true depth of your power. One by one, the children placed their hands on the calabash. As they did, a surge of energy filled the chamber. The calabash glowed brighter, and the very ground beneath them began to tremble. The spirit of the earth appeared before them, a being of light and energy, her voice a harmonious blend of nature itself. I am Gaia, the spirit of the earth, she said, her form shifting like the wind in the trees. I have watched over you, children of the calabash, as you have grown in strength and wisdom. Now it is time to understand the full extent of your gifts. The siblings felt a wave of understanding wash over them. They could feel the pulse of life in the trees, the whisper of the wind, the heartbeat of the earth itself. Their magic was not just a gift, it was a sacred bond between them and the world around them. They were connected to everything, the mountains, the rivers, the animals, and the stars. Gaia smiled. You are the earth's chosen guardians. Your bond is the key to protecting this world, and as long as you remain united, no force can break the harmony you create. The return to the village. With this newfound knowledge, the siblings returned to their village, their hearts brimming with a deeper understanding of their magic and their purpose. The calabash had revealed its secrets, and with it the children now carried a profound responsibility to protect the balance of life, to ensure that magic was never used for greed or destruction, but for the good of all beings. As they stood beneath the stars, Mama Nia embraced them. Now you know the truth, she said softly. You are not just my children. You are the children of the earth. And from that moment on, the calabash children knew that their journey was not just about wielding power. It was about living in harmony with the world around them and ensuring that the heart of magic would never be corrupted. The end for now. Would you like the next tale to dive deeper into the duties of the calabash guardians, uncover an ancient enemy seeking to control the heart of magic, or explore the next chapter in the children's growth as protectors? The Calabash chronicles Guardians of the Earth, a call to protect. The seasons passed and the calabash children had grown in both wisdom and strength. They had defended their village, uncovered the secrets of their magic, and learned the importance of unity and balance with the earth. But with each passing day, they realized that their role as protectors was not only about facing dangers, but about making difficult choices. One evening, as the village gathered around a bonfire to celebrate the harvest, a mysterious tremor shook the ground. The air grew heavy, and the wind howled through the trees. The Elder Council, a group of wise men and women who had guided the village for generations, gathered in urgency. The land is in pain, Elder Omari said, his face drawn with concern. The balance is shifting. Something threatens the very foundation of the earth. Mama Nia turned to the children. It is time, she said softly. You are the guardians now. You must go beyond the village and protect the lands from this growing unrest. A world in distress. The calabash children set out on their journey, leaving the safety of their village behind. The world outside was changing. The rivers ran dry, the skies darkened, and the earth cracked open in places where once there was lush green. They traveled through the canyon of forgotten songs, across the field of despair, and into the ruins of the sacred grove. Everywhere they went, they felt the earth's pain. It was as if something or someone was draining the very life force from the land itself. The closer they came to the heart of the disturbance, the stronger the pull of darkness became. As they reached the Vale of Shadows, an ancient forest once said to be the home of forgotten spirits, they encountered a strange being, a figure cloaked in black robes, their face hidden in shadow. "You are the calabash children," the figure intoned, their voice echoing through the trees. "You come seeking to stop what has already begun, but you cannot stop what is inevitable." Zuri stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear creeping in. "Who are you?" "I am Asha, the keeper of the void," the figure said. "I am the one who will bring balance to this world. Magic was never meant to belong to a single group. The earth must be reborn through destruction, and I shall lead it." Tano's fists clenched. "You cannot destroy what the earth has built. Magic is not something to be controlled for one's gain." Asha smiled coldly. "You are children. You do not understand the true nature of power. The earth is not a thing to be protected. It is a force to be mastered." With a snap of Asha's fingers, the land around them began to wilt. The trees bent and groaned. The air grew thick with a choking energy. The calabash children's powers struggled to fight back against the dark magic. The struggle for balance. "We have to work together," Mwezi shouted. The children joined hands, summoning their gifts to push back against Asha's force. Kato commanded the earth to rise, forming walls of stone to shield them, while Jabari used his speed to scout ahead for any more dangers. Shani reached out with her healing magic, attempting to restore the land, but Asha's darkness was too strong. "Your power is not enough," Asha taunted. "You are nothing without your gifts. Magic is mine to control." But Nia stepped forward, her eyes filled with a quiet determination. "You're wrong. Magic isn't about control. It's about understanding the balance, the connection to all life. You can't force the earth to bend to your will." The others watched as Nia's voice resonated with the very earth beneath them. Her magic wasn't about overwhelming force. It was about listening, respecting, and nurturing. The earth beneath her feet began to pulse with life once more. Roots burst from the ground, leaves unfurled, and the air lightened as the earth began to fight back. "You cannot undo the balance," Nia said softly, her voice echoing in the wind. "The earth will always find a way to heal." Asha faltered, uncertainty flickering across their face. "You do not understand. The earth cannot be saved. It must be reborn." "Not through destruction," Nia replied. "Through unity, through care, through love." The true power of the Guardians. With those words, the other calabash children joined in. Zuri's voice calmed the winds, filling them with light and clarity. Tano's strength raised the earth to protect the land from further harm. Kato's connection to the plants and trees brought them back to life. Shani's healing washed over the land, restoring what had been lost. Together, they faced Asha, and their combined magic surged like a tidal wave, pushing against the darkness and breaking the void's grip on the earth. Asha screamed in frustration, but their power faltered in the presence of the calabash children's unity. With one final surge, the darkness was dispelled, and Asha was banished into the void from which they came. The land slowly began to heal, the cracks in the earth mending, the skies clearing. The balance had been restored. The weight of protection. As they returned to the village, the children knew they had faced their most difficult challenge yet. They had not only saved the earth, but they had learned a crucial lesson. Being a protector was not about fighting or winning. It was about understanding the deeper connection to the land, and knowing when to listen, when to act, and when to let go. Mama Nia embraced them. "You have grown," she said, her eyes proud. "You now understand the weight of your gifts. You are not just protectors of the earth. You are the stewards of its balance. And though their journey was far from over, the calabash children knew this. As long as they remained united, there was no force that could ever break the bond between them and the earth. The Calabash Chronicles, The Last Protector. The coming of the eternal night. Years had passed since the calabash children had become the earth's guardians. They had faced many challenges, each one strengthening their bond and understanding of their role in the world. They had saved their village, restored balance to the land, and thwarted powerful enemies. But despite their triumphs, a deep sense of unease had begun to grow. The air itself felt heavy, as though the very magic of the earth was growing weaker. The seasons no longer followed their natural cycles. Flowers bloomed in places where the soil had once been barren, and crops withered in places where the sun shone brightest. Even the once vibrant heart of magic, the calabash that had guided them, began to dim. One fateful night, as the children gathered around the calabash to discuss the troubling changes, the sky itself darkened. A great rift tore through the heavens, and from it came a voice older than the earth itself, a voice that resonated with the very fabric of existence. "The time has come," the voice boomed. "The earth has been a cradle for too long. It is time for it to end. I am the ender of worlds. I am the eternal night, and I will devour the magic of this world until nothing remains but the void." The calabash children stood frozen, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that their greatest challenge was before them. "No," Nia whispered. "We cannot let you take this world. We are the protectors of the balance. We are the calabash children." But the voice continued, cold and indifferent. "You are but children. Your power is fleeting. The earth has lived long enough. It is time for it to return to nothingness." The sky trembled with the weight of the voice. The calabash children knew that they were standing on the precipice of the earth's final hour. And yet, they could not back down. They had sworn to protect the world, no matter the cost. The final battle. As the eternal night descended upon them, the calabash children set out to confront the ender of worlds. They traveled beyond the known lands to the cavern of origins, where it was said that the very first magic had been born. This was the place where the fabric of the world itself had been woven. At the heart of the cavern they found the ender of worlds, a towering figure of shadow, their form shifting like the void itself. Their eyes were black holes, pulling at the very essence of life. "You are too late," the ender intoned, the air thick with darkness. "The magic of the earth will be consumed, and all that remains will be nothing." The calabash children felt the weight of those words, and for the first time, their magic seemed powerless against the force of the ender. The world itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable. But in that moment of despair, Nia remembered something her mother had told her long ago. True power comes from understanding what you protect, not what you fight. The calabash children joined hands, and with all their strength, they channeled their magic not into a battle, but into a plea to the earth itself, to the heart of magic. "Please, Earth," Nia said, her voice trembling. "We protect you because we love you. We stand together as your guardians. Please, fight back." The earth responded. The ground beneath them shuddered. Roots from ancient trees reached up through the cavern, surrounding them. Light poured forth from the heart of magic, and for a brief moment, the shadow of the ender faltered, but the ender's laugh echoed through the cavern. "You cannot defeat me. I am the beginning and the end." Then, in an instant, the ender reached out with a single hand and touched the heart of magic. The world trembled. Suddenly, the calabash children felt the earth beneath them grow still. The magic, the life force that had once pulsed through them, began to fade. The heart of magic dimmed, and with it their powers. The trees, the rivers, the animals, all of them seemed to fall silent, as if waiting for the end. The ender turned their gaze to the children, now powerless. "This is the end of your journey. The earth is mine to take." And yet, in the fading light, Nia's voice rang clear. "Not the end!" With the last of their strength, The calabash children stepped forward, their hands still linked. The light in their hearts, their bond, and the love they shared for the world was the final force that remained. Together, Nia whispered. The earth, in its final act of defiance, responded to their love and unity. A wave of magic surged from the children, flooding the cavern and overwhelming the Ender of Worlds. The shadow that had once been the Ender of Worlds screamed as the light enveloped them, and with one final, blinding flash, they were no more. But it was not without cost. The calabash children fell to their knees, their energy drained, the magic within them fading. Their powers, their connection to the earth, began to vanish as the balance they had protected for so long was restored. "We did it," Zuri whispered, her voice barely audible. "The earth is safe." Mama Nia arrived at their side, tears in her eyes. She embraced them, knowing that their journey had come to an end. The earth was saved. The magic of the calabash was now gone, fading into the winds, leaving behind only the legacy of the children who had sacrificed everything to protect it. The legacy. In the years that followed, the village of the calabash children flourished. Though their magic was gone, the spirit of the children lived on in the hearts of all who remembered their deeds. The land healed, life returned, and the world carried on, forever changed by the sacrifices of the calabash children. And so, the tale of the calabash children became a legend, passed down from generation to generation, a story of love, unity, and sacrifice, of how the greatest protectors of all were not